Hello students, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jagdeep. In this video series, we are learning about market structures. In our previous video, we talked about monopolistic competitive markets. In this video, we will learn about oligopoly. So without wasting any time further, let's get started. So when we talk about oligopoly, the word oligopoly comes from two words. The first word is oligy, which is few, and the second word is polein, which means seller or to sell. So based on these two things, we can understand that oligopoly would refer to a market situation where you would see a few sellers or a few firms that sell homogeneous or differentiated products. Another way to refer oligopoly is competition among the few. Some real world examples that you could see and observe are the automobile industry. You have very few players in that segment producing automobiles, firms producing steel, cement, so on and so forth. Now, there are few types of oligopolies. Let's take a look at them. We have pure or perfect oligopoly, we have imperfect or differentiated oligopoly, a collusive oligopoly, or a non-collusive oligopoly. So when we talk about pure oligopoly, these are the firms that would produce homogeneous products. In real world, it is a little rare to find pure oligopolies, but still firms dealing in cement or steel, as we mentioned above, come close to the purest form of oligopoly. The next is differentiated or imperfect oligopoly. As the name indicates, these are the firms that deal in differentiated commodities. So the commodities may be very close substitutes. For example, cars. And if we talk about cars, we have different types of cars. We have hatchbacks, we have sedans, and we have SUVs. So more or less the structure remains the same. It's just the features that differ. The strength, the other facilities that are provided inside the car might be a little different from one brand to another. The next segment is collusive oligopoly. Now the word collusive means the firms are able to cooperate with each other, alright. So when we say they are able to cooperate, they would discuss with regards to the price and outputs amongst each other, and hence the term collusive oligopoly. However, it is not permitted by a lot of governments throughout the world for oligopolies to become collusive, because then they might become super exploitative for the consumers. Non-collusive oligopoly is simply when the firms are competing with each other. They do not collude, they do not come together, or they do not cooperate. So they compete with each other. That's the feature when we talk about non-collusive oligopoly. Let's take a look at what are the different features of oligopoly market. So the first feature here is, as the name indicates, there are few firms. So when we talk about few firms, we cannot really determine how many of these firms. It could be two firms. If there are just two firms, it would be a special case of oligopoly, and we call it as duopoly. That's how we spell it, duopoly. So that's basically two firms in the market, or probably it could be three firms or four firms or five firms, but they are still very few in number, all right. Apart from that, the size of these firms is large. So we write there are few large firms who are severely competing with each other. Each firm has the capability of manipulating its own price and the production volume, or in simple terms, their output. Okay. The second feature is interdependence, which means that actions of one firm would affect the other firms. So for example, if one firm is reducing its price, the other firm's sales might get impacted, and that's what we mean by other firms might get impacted. And if that is the case, then the other firm would retaliate. So non-price competition means that even though the firms are able to influence the price, they would not change the prices, and hence we could say that the firms follow price rigidity. What does price rigidity mean? It means that the price is non-responsive to the demand and supply conditions. The firms in these market structures would strictly avoid any kind of price competition. Why? Because if a given firm is trying to reduce the price, the other firms would imitate the behavior. If they are increasing the price, they would lose the hold on their market. Hence, they avoid any kind of price competition. When it comes to barriers to entry of new firms, there are very high restrictions, and these could be in the form of patents or very huge investments that are needed to set up a firm under oligopoly market structure. And since there are barriers to entry, firms would earn abnormal profits in the long run as well. Just like monopolistically competitive markets, oligopoly markets also place a lot of emphasis on advertisements and sales promotions, since they do not engage in price competition. So they would place a lot of emphasis on product features, after sales services, so on and so forth. Another feature of an oligopoly market is group behavior. That means, as we remember from the second point, firms in an oligopoly market are interdependent. Hence, it becomes mandatory or kind of necessary for them to ensure that whatever price and output decisions they are making, it does not affect the other firm. Hence, more preference to discussions is given amongst themselves before they decide on any price or output related segments. The kind of products that you would see are both homogeneous and differentiated. So when we talk in terms of the examples of a homogeneous product, we could write down cement or steel. And in differentiated, let us say we could talk in terms of mobile phones or cars. Alright, students, if you found this video useful, I invite you to support me by using the super thanks button below. Your contributions are incredibly important. They empower me to keep delivering high quality and free content that benefits students like you. Thank you for your support. Now, the AR curve in an oligopoly market is indeterminate. Indeterminate means it is uncertain. Now, why do we call it uncertain? Simply because in an oligopoly market, all the firms are interdependent. They depend on each other. So whenever a certain firm is making any changes in its strategies, the other firms would give a reaction to it. And whenever those reactions are given, there would be changes in the way the consumers would demand their products. So demand curve keeps on shifting, and hence it becomes a little difficult to identify what kind of demand curve an oligopoly market would have. But on an average, we would say that the demand curve in an oligopoly market is kinked. What does kinked mean? So you may have a slope like this until some time and a slope like this. So you generally have a kinked demand curve because the product may have different price elasticities at different times, and hence you might not get a straight linear demand curve under an oligopoly market. Students, if you find learning through long videos daunting, you could also learn through my Instagram channel, and you could follow me there where you could learn the same segments in smaller durations. Students, if you're struggling with this topic, consider joining one of my online tutoring sessions where we could explore this subject and this topic in depth. I'm currently helping students from multiple countries like UAE, Singapore and UK. I invite you to contact me directly at the number displayed on your screen. Don't miss out on a complimentary 30-minute session where we could take a look at how you could learn with me. Alright students, I shall meet you in another video. Until then, bye now. Take care.